I love to kind of see the connection between your understanding of success and your view on success and failure. I know, so that's a little off topic, but go ahead and share a little bit of kind of how you define success and how you view that as well in your own definition.
Well, that's interesting because I hadn't really prepared thoughts on that, and it's for some reason it's a lot more nebulous. Like failure is a lot easier to wrap my head around because it's something that I don't want to say that I'm fearful of it every day, but I'm certainly conscious of it every day.
Okay.
And you would think at some level that success is really just the inverse of failure, but I don't think that is inherently true. I don't think that
finding that it's not the case.
I don't see the world in black and white, and I very much don't see the world in black and white, as anyone who interacts with me long enough can tell you. I mean, it's all irritating nuances, but but I think especially with success. Well, and another concept to me is that a lot of things that we sort of take for granted in language as being opposites, like success and failure, are really oversimplifications as opposites. So success, the opposite of success is non-success. The opposite of failure is non-failure, right? But does non-failure equate success? I don't know.
Right.
And so I guess to me,
whoa.
Well,
slow it. Just put the brakes on. No, that's great.
It may sound heady, but I think it's really just I have a linguistics background, and I think that when you think about the semantics of it, it is that good is not necessarily the opposite of bad. Not good is the opposite of good.
Right.
Like when you think in a binary way, or even some programming language kind of way, that is logical, right? That you can't necessarily say that these concepts, which you may pair those concepts, and you may say that good and not good are opposites, and bad and not bad are opposites, and not bad and good are kind of paired concepts, and bad and not good, or whatever the other example was, are also paired concepts, but they may not be identical. They may have greatly overlapping areas, but they may not be identical. And so I guess success and non-failure are definitely heavily overlapping concepts. But I think success is a much more qualitative kind of thing for me, and I think the whole overwrought concept of work-life balance is definitely wrapped up in that. I don't want to make it sound like money doesn't matter to me, because money is definitely something that makes it a lot easier to be comfortable, and you can stop making heart-wrenching decisions about whether to buy this or that, and that sort of thing.
It's a way of quantifying your success.
Right. But I don't really gauge my success on monetary means. I really think it has a lot more to do with the quality of the time that I can spend, and quality of life in general. Some of that is afforded by a certain level of financial success. If I can afford to do things like, we went on a trip to Shanghai a couple of years ago, and it was a really fantastic trip. It was probably the best vacation Karsten and I have ever had. And, we wouldn't have been able to afford to do that without some level of financial success.
Right.
We had a lot of happiness wrapped up in that trip, and it was a privilege to be able to do it. And it's something that, a lot of people in the world would never be able to afford to do. I mean, outside of people that live in Shanghai, which is a lot of the people in the world. But, and I don't take that for granted. And I think, I just like to keep a healthy perspective on, where I sit relative to the world, and, that I'm very privileged to be where I am and have the opportunities that I have to be able to start a business and run a business, and, and have, an income over the last couple of years that's been less than what I've made as an employee in the past. But that's been okay, because I'm seeing it as a future investment. And it's very privileged to be able to do that. And I still feel successful doing that. I still feel like there's a certain level of success that I've been able to achieve because of that. And, it all just kind of feels wrapped up together.
Right.
The concept of the privilege that I have going into the role, and then the opportunities that my success within that has afforded me, and the fact that I can enjoy the things that those opportunities afford me, that's all success.
Yeah. So to connect the dots a little bit,
sure. Because that was a little bit rambly, so you go right ahead.
No. That's not at all. Just to bring your initial nebulous thoughts to the more concrete thoughts you ended on, is not accomplishing what, that lifestyle and that those opportunities that you're able to afford based on whatever success, however you measure the success, is the non of that or the un of that failure.
It's probably close. I mean, there's definitely, it would be a kind of failure.
And this would be, I guess, failure like in life.
Exactly. It would be a kind of failure to have
missed.
It's
crazy to say. You don't really failure. I failed at life.
I failed at life.
That sounds terrible, but not something we're necessarily covering in this interview. But yeah, in a sense, just trying to understand how we define and how we view our successes and our failures or mistakes or whatever vocab you want to use there.
Right.
Are we really considering them in the proper respects to each other?
Yeah. Like I said, I think it certainly would be in the territory of failure. It would be a kind of failure to have not given myself the chance to enjoy life.
Yeah.
While even doing something as ambitious as starting a business, which more and more people are looking to do, and that's great. But I would just think it would be a little sad if people missed the opportunity to live a full life because they were so wrapped up in this idea of starting a business.
Yeah.
So they're related concepts for sure. Not having the success of enjoying your life and failing in a grand scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you look back on your life when you're 95 years old or whatever, and you go like, dang, I totally missed out on enjoying, on smiling every day because I was so stressed about making sure that I could make payroll.
Yeah.
And I was so stressed about, getting that next big gig.
Yeah.
Not to say that you shouldn't be driven and ambitious and all that. You totally should. And I think it's thrilling to me to be an ambitious person, and I thrive on that. I mean, Karsten is the most laid-back person. My husband is the most laid-back person in the world, and I am so driven, and I know that I'm not as driven as a lot of people in our entrepreneurial community. There are people who just thrive on the game and the hustle, which I hate that word. But in our household, I seem like a total type A in comparison because he's so laid back. So it's really good. He keeps me grounded, and he keeps me in this very healthy perspective where I'm not so consumed with a striving for power and dominance and all that sort of thing, where it's like I come home and he's laid back and he's making art and there's music on and the cats are everywhere, and it's like, oh, this is what it's about. It should be about relaxing and
what am I doing?
Yeah, and living.
Man.
Yeah.